Hello everyone, good day. I am Joshua B. Paraguya.
I am Shane Dakwa.
My name is Erin Pernites.
I am Gideon Tiduldulo.
We are going to give to you a report about deforestation. So before we learn about what is deforestation, let us first learn what is a forest. A forest is a land spanning more than zero point 0.5 hectares with trees taller than 5 meters and a canopy cover of more than 10%, or the trees can reach these thresholds in situ. A complex ecological system and a natural source in which trees are the dominant life form. But in short terms, a forest is a large area dominated by trees and other vegetations characterized by a complex ecosystem that includes various plants, animals, fungi, and organisms. Now that we have learned what is a forest, next let us learn what is its importance. Forests are vital for both environment and human well-being. Additionally, forests are crucial in regulating climate, protecting ecosystem, and sustaining economies through jobs and materials. Their health directly impacts our quality of life and the planet's future. Hence why if we conduct deforestation as stated in the title page, that it is the path of our destruction. Now that we have learned what is a forest and its importance, let us delve in the topic of deforestation, which is the clearing or thinning of forests by humans. Making deforestation represents one of our largest issues in global land use. Estimates of deforestation traditionally are based on the area of forest cleared for human use, including removing of trees for wood products and croplands, as stated in the Britannica Encyclopedia. Deforestation is the clearing or removal of forests or trees from a land area, resulting in permanent or long-term conversion of forest land to non-forest uses. But for some sources suggest that deforestation is not only due to human activity, which I will further explain in the upcoming slides. Now that we have learned about deforestation, let us next learn about its causes. Since there are many causes of deforestation as stated in this slide, we decided to create categories in classifying these causes to improve the efficiency of learning it. First category is the agricultural expansion, which the commercial agriculture, livestock farming, and subsistence farming falls. This is a very common practice in the Philippines, but the most famous term we use for this type of category is the kaingin practice, where we destroy forests for our livestock and our crops. The second category is resource extraction, where logging and mining falls in line. So logging is the illegal and legal logging for timber and paper products, while mining is the extraction of minerals and fossil fuels leading to land clearing. So those terms are very literal for why they are the causes of deforestation. This category is very common cause of deforestation, if not the most driving force for deforestation. Another category is urban development, which contains infrastructure development, which is the construction of roads, highways, and energy facilities for the ease of travel and living, and urbanization, which is the expansion of cities and towns into forested areas. The difference between these two is that the urbanization pertains to the erection of cities or human settlements to accommodate the rising human population, while the first is how we connect these settlements. Next category is economic activities, which fuels the second category of resource extraction. So economic activities such as overexploitation of resource, which is the unsustainable practices of resource extraction, including logging and fuel wood collection. Another is market demand, which is economic incentives driving the demand for agricultural products, timber, and minerals. Next is the environmental factors, which is an uncontrolled factor that proves the claims of other sources that deforestation is indeed not limited to human activities. This category includes climate change and pests and diseases. Climate change is the extreme weather events such as wildfires and droughts, leading to forest loss. Pests and diseases is the increased vulnerability of degraded areas to infestations. And last for the causes is social factors, which includes population growth and land tenure issues. Population growth is the increased demand for land and resource due to rising population, another fuel to the first three categories. Land tenure issues is the human conflicts over land ownership and usage right, which can lead to deforestation. Now that we have learned about the causes, let us now learn about the consequences, such as loss of biodiversity, climate change, soil erosion, and etc. So first is the environmental impacts, which contains the loss of biodiversity, soil erosion, and water cycle disruption. If you remove the trees or forests, you also remove the organisms that lives in it, the soil anchor that protects it from soil erosion, and the key player for increased infiltration and canopy interception, disrupting the weather pattern, groundwater recharge, and increase the risk for flood and droughts. Next is climate change, which includes increased greenhouse gas emissions and altered climate patterns. These are self-explanatory, but I will further discuss this in the slide below about the relationship of deforestation and climate change. This will also be further explained by the reporters for climate change. Next is the impact on human communities. This includes displacement of indigenous people. Since our indigenous people live near forests and rivers, if you conduct deforestation near their settlements will also be able to be affected by your actions. Food and water security and economic consequences can also be dealt in the human communities, since while deforestation may provide a short-term economic gains, it can also lead to long-term economic instability due to the loss of economic ecosystem services and resources. Next is health issues. Since some practices of deforestation includes the burning of trees, the burning will release harmful smoke and particulates which can be dangerous to you, as stated in the reporters of air pollution. And spread of diseases is because if you alter the ecosystem, the animals in that ecosystem may go to human settlements, like in the case of raccoons, increasing interaction and also increasing the risk of zoonotic diseases. Next is the loss of ecosystem services. So this includes the decrease in natural resources and reduced climate regulation. If you reduce the number of forests in the world, you are also reducing the sources of our natural resources. This includes timber and non-timber products and also medicinal resources, since some of our medicinal resources may also come in the forests. Reduce climate regulations, because since forests help regulate the local climates and temperature, the loss of these forests can lead to more extreme temperature fluctuations, making humans even more reliant to air conditioning and electric fans. Next is the increase in natural disasters. Without the trees to absorb the rainfall and stabilize the soil, areas become more susceptible to flooding and landslide, particularly hilly or mountainous regions. And lastly, social and economic inequality. Since deforestation often benefits large corporations at the expense of local communities, exacerbating their social and economic inequalities. So now I will explain the relationship of deforestation and climate change. Deforestation contributes to climate change by releasing carbon dioxide stored in trees, accounting for about 10 to 15 of global gas emissions. The trees are also responsible for the conversion of carbon dioxide to oxygen via photosynthesis. This loss of forest greatly increases the atmospheric CO2 and in the process threatens biodiversity and ecosystem resilience. Since an increase in greenhouse gases leads to higher temperature and reduced air quality. Conversely, climate change exacerbates deforestation through heightened forest fires, pest outbreaks, and extreme weather events, creating a feedback loop where each issue intensifies the other. If we don't take action to decrease deforestation, climate change will surely increase its effects, leading to our destruction and extinction.
As we all know, deforestation is a complex problem with far-reaching consequences. So, this topic will explore the effective solutions and mitigation strategies to address this environmental crisis. Here are the list of solutions and strategies to mitigate the impact of deforestation. First, reforestation and afforestation. These two strategies aimed at increasing the Earth's tree cover to combat climate change by natural means. Reforestation involves replanting of trees where forests have been cut down. It's like fixing and bringing back the forest, while afforestation is creating a new forest, and it's about planting trees in a place where there was never a forest before. So, by increasing the area covered by the forest, we can enhance the natural carbon sequestration capacity of the planet, restore ecosystem, combat climate change, and protect the biodiversity. Next is sustainable forest management. This aims to balance the economic, social, and environmental needs of the forest. By adopting sustainable practices, we can ensure that forests remain healthy and productive. So one of the key principles of SFM is selective logging. It involves harvesting specific trees, such as mature or overmature ones, while leaving the majority of the younger trees to grow and regenerate. So, to ensure that selective logging is carried out sustainably, certification scheme will play its part. These schemes set standards for forest management practices, including harvesting methods, environmental impact, and social responsibility. It promotes sustainable forestry through certification programs. So, one of the organizations that manages this program is the Forest Stewardship Organization. They are the one who check the forest and give certification if the forest was managed responsibly, adhering to the environmental standards. So one thing you can do to help protecting the forest is that if you'll buy wood products, make sure that it has a forest certification label, because the label means or ensure that the trees are harvested responsibly. Next is agroforestry. It refers to the integration of trees with agriculture. It combines agricultural crops with trees to enhance biodiversity, improve soil health, and provide additional income through timber and non-timber forest products. So here are the farming system under agroforestry, which is the alley cropping, forest farming, and silvopasture. The alley cropping means planting crops between rows of trees to provide income while the trees mature. So, as you can see in the slide, the first picture is an example of alley cropping. Next, we have forest farming. It is an operation to grow food, herbal, botanical, or decorative crops under a forest canopy that is managed to provide ideal shade levels as well as other products. So the middle picture in the slide is an example of forest farming. Lastly, silvopasture. It combines trees with livestock and forage on one piece of land. So the last picture is an example of silvopasture. Here are the legal frameworks and policies that demonstrates the Philippine government's commitment to addressing deforestation and promoting sustainable forest management. First is the Presidential Decree number 1153. This decree mandates every Filipino citizen to plant a tree every month for 5 consecutive years. It aims to promote reforestation and environmental conservation. Next is Executive Order number 287. This executive order repealed PD 1153. While it doesn't directly address reforestation, it signifies a shift in environmental policy and a move towards more sustainable and science-based approaches to forest management. The Philippine Mining Act of 1995. This law regulates mining operations in the Philippines. It sets standards for environmental protection and rehabilitation, aiming to minimize the negative impacts of mining on forest and other ecosystem. Next is the Philippine Development Plan, or the PDP. It is the government's overarching development plan. It includes strategies to address environmental issues such as deforestation. It sets targets for reducing deforestation rates and promotes sustainable forest management practices. Then, the National Greening Program. The NGP is a massive reforestation program that aims to plant billions of trees to restore degraded forests and protect watersheds. It involves various stakeholders, including government agencies, NGOs, and communities. The Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act. This law recognizes the rights of indigenous peoples to their ancestral lands, including forest. It empowers indigenous people to participate in forest management and conservation, ensuring their sustainable use of forest resources. Forest Management Bureau. The FMB is the primary government agency responsible for forest management, conservation, and protection. It implements policies, regulations, and programs to address deforestation and promote sustainable forestry. Climate Change Act of 2009. This law recognizes the adverse effects of climate change, including those caused by deforestation. It establishes a framework for climate change adaptation and mitigation, including measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. And lastly, environmental groups advocacy. Environmental groups play a crucial role in advocating for stronger environmental laws and policies. They monitor government actions, conduct research, and mobilize public support to protect forests and other natural resources. So for the next strategy, we have community engagement and empowerment. It promotes environmental stewardship by instilling a sense of responsibility towards the preservation of the environment. So, by involving local communities, we can leverage their deep knowledge of the forest ecosystem and their traditional practices. This collaboration ensures that forest management decisions respect their rights and cultural values. Also, empowering communities to manage forest resources sustainably by providing them with economic incentives. So, by granting communities rights to forest resources and providing economic incentives, this approach encourages sustainable practices. The communities can generate income through activities like ecotourism, non-timber forest product harvesting, and sustainable timber extraction. Technological innovations. So, the emerging technologies like biodegradable sensors and synthetic biology offer promising solutions for forest monitoring and tree species improvement. By harnessing this technological advancement, we can strengthen our efforts to protect forests and to safeguard the environment. So here are some of the technological innovations. We have remote sensing and monitoring. So by utilizing satellite imagery and drones, we can track changes in forest cover over time. It detects illegal logging activities and enforces regulations more effectively. So by combining these technologies with advanced data analysis techniques, we can gain valuable insights into the causes and consequences of deforestation. And then we have biotechnology. So by developing crop varieties that are more efficient and resilient, we can reduce the need for extensive land clearing and minimize the environmental impact of agriculture. These biotech crops can be engineered to require less water, tolerate pests and diseases, and thrive in harsh conditions. This reduces the reliance on harmful pesticides and fertilizers, preserving soil health and biodiversity. By raising awareness about the importance of forests and the impacts of deforestation to encourage sustainable practices among consumers and businesses can foster a sense of environmental responsibility and encourage sustainable practices. The educational programs such as tree planting, nature walks, and wildlife observation can highlight the vital role forests play in regulating climate, providing clean air and water, and supporting biodiversity. So by empowering young people with knowledge and skills, we can create a generation of informed and engaged citizens who are committed to protecting our planet's precious forest. So for the second to the last strategies, we have restoration of degraded land. So land restoration is the process of reviving degraded land by replanting trees, conserving soil, and adopting sustainable farming practices. This revitalizes ecosystems, protects biodiversity, and mitigates climate change. So, by restoring degraded land, we improve air and water quality, prevent soil erosion, and support local economies. Lastly, we have monitoring and reporting. So, monitoring the changes of the forest cover is crucial for effective forest management and conservation. So, by tracking deforestation rates through satellite imagery and field surveys, we can identify areas at risk, implement targeted interventions, and assess the effectiveness of conservation efforts. By involving local communities in monitoring efforts empowers them to protect their forests and share valuable insights. By prioritizing monitoring and reporting, we can better understand deforestation dynamics and take decisive action to protect our planet's vital forests. This data-driven approach is essential for ensuring the long-term health and sustainability of our forests. So by implementing a comprehensive approach that combines community engagement, sustainable land use practices, technological advancement, and strong governance, we can significantly reduce deforestation and protect our planet's vital ecosystems.
I'll be presenting to you two of the initiatives or strategies implemented by the United Nations to address deforestation or the clearing of forests, which contributes to climate change, biodiversity loss, health issues, and other consequences as discussed by my groupmate. These initiatives include the Sustainable Development Goal 15 and the Green Wall Project. So first, let's discuss the Sustainable Development Goal 15 or the Life on Land. The United Nations through the SDGs, particularly the SDG 15, aims to conserve life on land by protecting and restoring terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably managing forests, combating desertification, and halting biodiversity loss. Basically, it aims to protect, restore, and sustainably use terrestrial ecosystems. It has 12 K targets, but the K targets of SDG 15 related to deforestation are 15.1, 15.2, and 15.3. 15.1 targets conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems, while 15.2 targets to halt deforestation, restore degraded forests, and promote sustainable forest management. Lastly, we have 15.3, which targets to combat desertification, restore degraded land and soil, and strive to achieve a land degradation neutral world by 2030. The goals of SDG 15 emphasizes the importance of halting deforestation, restoring degraded forests, and promoting sustainable forest management practices. By prioritizing these goals, we can safeguard our planet's biodiversity, mitigate climate change, and ensure the well-being of future generations. Next, we have the Green Wall Project or the Great Green Wall Initiative, which is one of the most ambitious initiatives to combat deforestation and desertification in the Sahel region of Africa. The Green Wall Project was launched by the African Union in 2007, and it aims to combat desertification and improve food security by creating a massive green belt in the Sahel region of Africa, which is facing severe environmental challenges due to climate change and human activities. Specifically, the goals of the initiative are restoration, carbon sequestration, and job creation. It aims to restore 100 million hectares of degraded land by 2030, capture 250 million tons of carbon dioxide, and generate 10 million jobs in the process. As of 2023, approximately 18 million hectares have been restored, or 18% of the target. Despite facing challenges such as funding shortfalls, political instability, and coordination issues among the participating countries, the project has made substantial progress in promoting sustainable land management, agroforestry, and biodiversity conservation. By uniting African nations and international partners, this ambitious project is transforming landscapes, empowering communities, and securing a sustainable future for the Sahel region.
I will be reporting about deforestation in specific regions.
But first of all, what specific region are we talking about here? It is biodiversity hotspot where it is home to millions of species. It is also a climate regulator that absorbs massive amounts of carbon dioxide, mitigating climate change. And it plays a role as a water cycle influencer where it is important for global rainfall patterns. It is also home to numerous indigenous groups. There are three specific regions that we are going to tackle. First is the Amazon. Amazon is the largest tropical rainforest in the world. However, it has been impacted by deforestation. Estimated 20% of the Amazon has been lost due to deforestation. Some of the causes are the following. First is the cattle ranching, where it accounts for 80% of all the forest loss. Second is the agriculture, due to expansion of agricultural land. Third is the logging or the illegal logging of valuable timber. Fourth is mining, where mining gold and other minerals destroyed large areas of forest and polluted waterways. And lastly is the infrastructure development, like construction of road, dams, and other infrastructure. These causes led to negative impacts such as biodiversity loss, climate change, ecosystem degradation, negative social impacts, and reduced rainfall. Second specific region is Indonesia. Indonesia is a nation of over 17,000 islands and is one of nations that have biodiverse forests. However, it faces a deforestation crisis from the 1970s onward. Some of causes are the following: palm oil production and the expansion of plantations. Logging, both legal and illegal logging contribute to forest loss. Next is agriculture, also due to expansion of agricultural land. Mining of coal and gold mining have destroyed vast areas of forest and polluted waterways. And lastly, the forest fires or the natural disasters, which led to biodiversity loss, climate change, ecosystem degradation, negative social impacts, and increased disaster risk. Third specific region and the last is Congo Basin. Congo Basin is the world's second largest rainforest. It is a home to a rich diversity of flora and fauna. Deforestation in this region is not much compared to the Amazon, but the rates are rising. Causes are agricultural expansion along with legal and illegal logging and mining, damages ecosystems and pollutes waterways. Infrastructure development and rising population demand also contribute to forest clearing and fragmentation. And all of these causes led to biodiversity loss, climate change, ecosystem degradation, negative social impacts, and reduced rainfall. Now let's proceed to deforestation in the Philippines. 95% of Philippine territory was once land of lush rainforest. However, it steadily shrinks for centuries. In history, the colonial era marked as the beginning of deforestation, By then, clearing of land for agriculture, roads, and settlements gradually increased. And also in the American and Japanese occupation, this time was recorded as more rapid pace of deforestation. Over 20% of the forest was lost. And then in the martial law era, Marcos's policies encouraged log exploitation to Japan, which led to massive forest loss. The causes of deforestation in the Philippines are government policies, which fuel deforestation along with logging and mining. The population pressure increases the need for land for agriculture and infrastructure, leading to further forest conversion. Additionally, natural disasters like typhoons and climate change make forests more vulnerable to degradation. Aside from these negative causes, the Philippines also implemented some initiatives to conserve the environment. The Philippines implemented conservation efforts like reforestation program, which aims to restore degraded areas, protected areas that aim to safeguard important ecosystems and biodiversity. And lastly, policy reform that aims to reform policies related to logging and mining to promote sustainability of the environment. Lastly, conclusion. Deforestation causes biodiversity loss, climate change, and ecosystem disruption. However, national and international collaboration through sustainable forestry, reforestation, and cooperation offers hope for protecting and sustainably using forests for future generations. And that would be all. Thank you.